At 6, I was by my mum's friend who was at the house a lot. So my mum was an alcoholic.
Victim mentality. You have a privileged life that you realize you've wasted now. He wants to play the victim card. There's people going through real problems out here. Grow up. What? What?
You are now listening to Free the Production with your host, Majaro.
What is up, my PDP tribe? It's the Tribal Chief Majaro, aka Midge, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. We're 200 subscribers and we're trying to grow more, so you already know what I'm going to say. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to grow the community. By sharing this with your friends and family, that goes a long way in helping us do that. Now, let's get into the video. Dele Alli, former MK Dons wonder kid turned Tottenham Hotspur superstar and England star boy. Over the past couple of years, he's had a massive fall from grace. From being the youngest midfielder to hit 50 goals, he was supposed to be the one. He was supposed to be the next best thing. He was basically Jude Bellingham before Jude Bellingham came around to the scene. So a lot of people who have followed his career have seen him play at the lower leagues to becoming a superstar at Spurs, and then, you know, being sold to Everton and then being put on loan to a Turkish team, and wondering what the hell happened to Dele Alli. He was the guy. He was scoring goals. He was assisting. He was, you know, industrial. He was very energetic. He just felt like he played the game with a lot of joy. But recently, he's had an interview with The Overlap and Gary Neville on Sky, where he delves into some of the personal issues and the personal traumas of his past, which caught up to him in his later life in the recent years. And after watching the interview, it really touched a nerve with me. It really made me think about how we as a society, especially football fans, view footballers. A lot of us think that they just get paid loads of money and they don't have feelings, and they are not affected by stuff that happens in their real life, whether it's current situations or stuff in the past. You know, they aren't robots. They do have feelings. And, you know, I've joked about, you know, Maguire being slab-heady one, and, you know, Sancho being paid £375,000 a week, and we're expecting them to perform day in, day out, especially if they're on that money. You know, it made me, you know, think that these guys aren't just robots. They're not just here for entertainment, and they have real life, and they have, you know, real life stories that they are affected by. And he goes on to tell and share a lot of the stuff that's happened in his past, such as being, you know, not cared for at a young age of 6, and someone taking advantage of him while he was young.
So at 6, I was by my mum's friend who was at the house a lot. So my mum was an alcoholic. And then
his mum being an alcoholic who was absent in terms of upbringing and taking care and safeguarding him. He goes on to say how there was just a lot of men in the house, and that him going into his future had a lot of parties. And he said he went to rehab and he found out that the reason why he was, you know, having loads of parties with just random people who don't even know him like that was because his mum had loads of people in the house that he didn't know, she probably didn't know, and they were just taking advantage of the situation at the time. He goes on to say how he got sent back home in Africa. I'm not quite sure where it is. I think it's Nigeria. Don't quote me on that. He says how he was sent back to learn discipline, and as a result of that, he wanted to act out even more so that he can be sent back home, because he didn't like, you know, spending time with his family, or specifically his father, back home in the motherland. So he wanted to rebel, and he was sent back home because he was, you know, being taught, he was supposed to go there to be taught discipline, but he wasn't having any of that because he felt like no one really cared for him there, and it wasn't a good environment for him. So he got sent back home, and then he said he got into selling drugs at 7. He would go around the park or go around, areas selling drugs with his football, because one of the older people at the estate said, they're not going to stop a 7-year-old child with a football thinking that they're going to be selling drugs, which is crazy to think that that was the environment he was in. And he said that once he got adopted by his current family, that's when his trajectory in life just, shot up from basically being at the bottom of the barrel to actually having people who cared for him and nurtured him and mentored him and wanted him to succeed in his life. That's when they took him under their wing and he was able to flourish playing football and playing at MK Dons, performing. And then that's where Tottenham saw his talents and thought, yes, this is the guy. After all, he knocked us, as in us, Manchester United, he knocked us out of I think it was the FA Cup back then, because he, played out of this world and scored one of the goals that, beat us. So Tottenham Hotspur took a chance on him. Mauricio Pochettino was their manager, and he took him under his wing, and he said, he was a very good father figure for him because he didn't have a father in the household, didn't have any male father figures. So Mauricio Pochettino was definitely one for him, and they worked with each other. He excelled, he performed on the pitch. But then when the manager got sacked, that's when he felt like his demons from his past, or the childhood trauma he wasn't able to deal with, started to manifest in bad behaviors, like, taking sleeping pills just so that he can sleep before a big game, or taking alcohol and other substances. You'd be surprised, the type of substances professional footballers be taking on a recreational business, like it's nothing. Like, I know one of the controlled substances is snus. It's like a tobacco.
Snus is a tobacco product that comes in small parcels, similar to a tea bag sachet, and is placed alongside the gum to release nicotine into the bloodstream. Users talk of it giving them a calming effect and a sense of well-being. Stronger variants can involve a physical spark, which many footballers clearly feel is advantageous. So, according to an investigation by The Athletic, one high-profile England international is fully reliant on snus and rarely seen without one under his gum. Another big-name Premier League player weaned himself off snus after a long period of struggling for form. Players at a League One club have been selling snus to 13 and 14-year-olds in the academy. One player at a League Two club had a bit of cancer cut out of his gum because of heavy use. And the Professional Footballers Association is to undertake a research study as part of a new campaign starting this summer to warn players of the potential risks.
Traumas start to reappear and manifest in different types of behaviours, and then that's what led to confrontations with new managers and new people in his life. Like, we all know the infamous Mourinho exit interview with Dele Alli saying, you've got so much talent, why are you letting it to waste? You're not performing, it feels like you're lazy, I'm not getting anything from you.
He doesn't train well. He's not a good trainer. I'm not saying a disaster, but I'm not saying a hurricane. Hurricane trains well, but he's not a good trainer. We need to find the right motivation for the guy.
Fucking lazy.
Stood already. Where is Dele? I understood already that you are a fucking lazy guy in training. I don't need more days. Lazy, but lazy pass. And for me, since the beginning, I had no doubts about your potential. I saw you do incredible matches and incredible things. But I always felt that you had ups and downs. I think it's just for you to analyze yourself and to realize why my career is being, okay, MK Dons Tottenham national team, bang, and then you reach the top, and then time flies. And I think one day, I think you will regret if you don't reach what you can reach.
He said that one of those things that wasn't shown on that Do or Die documentary, that Amazon Prime documentary about Tottenham, was the fact that a week later, after having that conversation, calling him lazy, because he was like, I'm not lazy. I know what I do. I know I give 110% on that field. So that's one thing, you can't call me lazy, because he gives 100% effort. Mourinho, after a week, came back and said, I've been seeing you training and I thought that, what I said to you was not accurate and you're not lazy. You're actually hardworking. But that wasn't broadcast on Amazon Prime because that went against the narrative. And he would go on to say stuff like the tabloids just taking advantage of his broken family and how his family would play, his blood family would play into the media's games by giving interviews and, making statements about how, Dele Alli isn't allowing us back into his life. All we want to do is a relationship with our son. He's excommunicated us, X, Y, and Z. And his, rebuttal was, you guys were the reason I was in such a dire situation and had to be adopted. You guys were the reasons that I didn't feel love and I was able to be taken advantage of as a child, like a vulnerable child at 6 years old, getting, by a family friend or someone that your mother knew. They're the reasons why he, in his view, was so damaged, and how he's had to deal with all this stuff and how his performance on the pitch has been affected by that. So for them to be selling stories to the tabloids just reinforce his decision to, these guys haven't got the best interest of me. They're only in it for themselves now that I'm famous. Because if I wasn't famous and it felt like, I'm just putting words in his mouth. It felt like, they didn't care for him. And if his, adopted family didn't come into his life, only God knows where he would be right now. So after dealing with these things in silence, he said, I was taking stuff to cope with the pain and cope with the numbness. I just wanted to be numb. I didn't want to feel anything. Whenever anyone asked me for, help or, you okay, Dele, you okay, you okay? He'll say, yeah. He'll smile, he'll laugh. That's one of his coping mechanisms. He didn't want to let anyone in, not even his adopted family who've been there through thick and thin. They drag him into a room and said, tell us what's wrong. We want to help you. We want to help you. They're crying, saying, Dele, tell us what we can do. But he was, he said, I can deal with it. Until it got to a breaking point where he said, I just have to seek professional help. So he went to a rehab center in America, and that's where he was able to, build the pieces as to why he's feeling this way and all the connections and all the decisions he's made in his life, and, made him understand, his mum's addictions and his mum's, downfalls and why she made certain decisions, because she was under the influence of, only God knows. So yeah, hearing this story was very emotive, very powerful, very eye-opening as to, at the end of the day, these people come from working class families. Most footballers come from, the favelas, the streets, a lot of them come from broken homes. And football is one of the ways that they escaped those realities. And him sharing this story, he hoped that if people were out there that needed help, they would take his story as inspiration, as you can get help and you can, put back the pieces and reinvent yourself in a better way, in a more constructive way. And that I felt like that was a powerful message, because he said, hopefully this would help other people and in turn will help me, because I feel like I need to get it off my chest. So yeah, all the best wishes for Dele Alli from my side anyways. But you know how the internet be, You know how there's trolls. You know how there's people who just have no empathy for another person. There was this comment I saw on Instagram. Let me read it out. And this is one of the things that Dele specifically didn't want to happen in terms of people feeling overly sorry for him and pitying him, because he says, I don't want that. I just want to improve and be a better version of myself. So someone says, victim mentality. You have a privileged life that you realize you've wasted now. He wants to play the victim card. There's people going through real problems out here. Grow up. What? That is your reaction to someone opening up and telling the people the real traumas in their life, real horrific things that have happened to them, and the real things they've had to go through, and you're saying, he just wants to play the victim card so that people feel sympathetic to him because he has the opportunity that he's wasted, and now he wants people to feel sorry for him. Bro, this guy's getting paid peas. He doesn't need to come out and say this. He doesn't need to come out and share this information. He could have just played, worked on himself and not shared his story, and hopefully people would have seen the improvement in his performance, and people would have been none the wiser. So your reaction to a man opening up about his childhood traumas that are real and happen to people every day, children every day, your reaction is, you got money, you've wasted your opportunity, now you just want people to feel sorry for you. If that's the message you got from this interview, then I'm sorry. I'm sorry for whatever, I'm just sorry, because God forbid anything happens to a loved one in your life and that's your reaction. You got a roof over your head, you got food to eat, get over it. Nah. And I'll be honest, I've been guilty of, when it comes to things that happen to people or people feeling some type of way, anxiety, and I used to always be like, hunker down, get over it, just drive through, push through. And what I've realized over the years of growing up is that, that's a very privileged way of thinking, because I've been lucky to have, to be grown up in a family full of love, two parents love each other, loving the family, and having a nuclear family that sticks by each other and is a unit. However, like the case with Dele Alli, when you don't have that, everything under the sun can go wrong in your childhood. He said he could go out without any adult supervision with a key, leave the home at 7 and come back at midnight, and his mum would not care. He'd be like, oh yeah, you're back. Okay, I'm going out to do X, Y, and Z, or this person's going out. Like, that was the life he was living. That's not a childhood that anyone wishes that they would have. Like, there was no structure. That's why he appreciated all the structure in football, especially with a manager. So, for people who have that reaction, I just feel, I just hope nothing like that happens to you or any of your loved ones, because they definitely ain't going to get support from you. Let me know what you think about this interview. Do you feel like, this sheds light on mental health, on all aspects, not just in terms of football, and all the things that come with, fame and, pressure to perform and all that type of stuff, childhood traumas, how people are able to deal with that. What do you guys think of that? Or do you think, get over it, you get paid peas, like no one wants to hear your sob story? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Kidding on my foes, even though I got it all on my own. Success sweet, yeah, it tastes like honeycomb. Dropping blood tears and even breaking bones. I'm sipping on Patron while aiming for the throne. I've been to hell and